Hi, my name is Dr. Melissa Carr, and I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. I'm happy to present to you today the topic of how to support your immune system naturally. And at the end, I will talk specifically about reishi. Reishi is a mushroom that can be used for supporting a healthy immune system. Firstly, a little bit of an introduction to traditional Chinese medicine. And the very foundation of TCM is finding a balance, finding an equilibrium. And that's not always going to be the same. It's not always going to be static. It is an ever-changing balance. So that means that it changes with the seasons, with the time of day. Is it daytime or nighttime? With what activities you do, what you eat, whether or not you've got enough sleep, what your stress levels are at the moment. Those are all integrated into how you find your particular balance for the moment. And when we speak about balance, we're often thinking about this foundation of yin and yang. So yin in Chinese medicine is the represented by the black in this particular diagram here, which is called the Taiji symbol. And yang is represented by the white within this. Now you'll see that there is a seed of yang within the yin, that little white circle there in the black. And then there's a seed of yin within the yang, the little black circle within the white part of this diagram here. And the idea was that the Chinese character of this is the shaded side of the mountain and the sunny side of the mountain. So through their observations, they noticed that there seem to be opposites in the world. So when you have night, you also have day. With dark, there's also light. The moon counterpart is the sun. There is female and male. There is matter and energy, and there is cold and hot. So they were looking at that and noticing that there are opposites within this. And when we're talking about the immune system, specifically to yin and yang and that balance, that equilibrium that happens, we're talking about an immune system that is not overly active and not underactive. So in the underactive component, we have a hypoactive immune system. You would catch your colds often, and you may not recover very quickly. A hyperactive immune system, you might find that you're suffering from allergies and autoimmune disorders. When we talk about the immune system, it's not one particular place that in the body that you have your immune system. Your immune system includes a wide array of organs and cells. It includes your skin, your spleen, your bone marrow, and various other parts of your body that produce mucus and tiny little hairs that are called cilia that help to sweep the bacteria pathogens out of your body. Pathogens are the things that are attacking your body that can cause infection. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungus. We have two main parts to our immune system. We have our innate immune system, and those are the quick-acting parts of your immune system that they don't require any training to do their jobs. Your skin is part of it. It just helps to defend you from the external world. We have some cells that include neutrophils. Here you'll see some monocytes and what are called natural killer cells. And they see the pathogen entering the body, they see them within the body, and then they go to work and start to create a reaction to defend the body against it, to disable the pathogen, to attack it, kill it, and then get rid of it. We also have our adaptive immune response, which includes our T cells and our B cells. And these are our immune system parts that need some training in order to understand what to go after. So, for example, if you get sick, you're the first encounter of that particular infection, that particular pathogen, your body may not mount a very great response to it. But the next time it encounters that, you will not have the same response. So like chicken pox, for example, the first time you get it, you're going to have all the symptoms. The next time you're exposed to it, your body already knows. It's created antibodies to the antigens on the cell. So your antigens are the little chemical signals on the pathogen that signal to the body that that's not supposed to be there in your body. It's foreign to your body, and your body starts to build antibodies to that. The next time it sees the antigen again, it's going to recognize it and be a lot faster at reacting. So that's a very fundamental, basic teaching of the immune system. When you look at your lab results, any blood test, you will see the white blood cell count, and you'll see some of these cells, neutrophils, monocytes, eosinophils, lymphocytes. You might see a wide array of what the numbers are for your immune system, your white blood cell count. Now I'm going to spend most of the time talking about some immune health tips. And it always comes down to the fundamental at the beginning of pretty much any lecture on natural health and things that you can do to support a specific area of your body, in this case immune health. And this is no exception. So eat healthy, get enough sleep, exercise regularly. You know those things. I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about the eat healthy, but getting enough sleep is really fundamental as well, because if you don't get enough sleep, your body has a hard time trying to repair itself and create, build appropriate cells, worn down cells, remove them from your body. And so most of your repair is done while you're sleeping. Exercise regularly is important as well. Exercise is foundational. We were not designed to do Olympic marathon type sitting practice. We were designed to move. So finding some form of movement that works for you is really important as well. Managing stress is really key too. When we are stressed, our bodies do not function on some fronts as well as they should. So if your body thinks that it's under attack, it will not create a very good immune response when it is actually fighting against a pathogen, a virus, a bacteria, or other. So your body is going to be focusing just on running away from something or fighting something. So managing stress is really essential. And then specific to immune health, wash your hands and don't touch your face. And the reason is that when you're touching things that somebody else who has a cold, they've sneezed into their hand, they've touched a doorknob, you touch the doorknob, you collect what they've deposited there. It's fine as long as you wash your hands. But if you touch your face before you wash your hands, touch your nose, touch your mouth, rub your eyes, you will be introducing that particular pathogen, virus, bacteria to your body, and that's not something that you want to do. So the tip to not touch your face is also foundational, but many of us, as we'll find, have a habit of doing that, and that's why the recommendation to wash your hands is really important. So I'm going to get into a little bit of specifics about immune health tips related to specific foods and the nutrients that are really key. Now, this is not a full listing of nutrients that are important for the immune system, but I'm going to give you some fundamentals, and it's a listing of some of the foods that are helpful. Vitamin C, when people think about vitamin C, most people think of oranges, limes, lemons, grapefruit perhaps. They're thinking of the citrus fruits, and certainly those are rich in vitamin C. So those are easy ways to boost up your vitamin C in the body. And vitamin C can be helpful for treating frequent colds and flus. It can be helpful to prevent them, helpful to support your immune system so your body can do its job in that direction, as well as help to address allergies. If you have allergies, vitamin C is a nutrient that can help to balance your immune system. Leafy greens, for some people that's a surprise, are rich in vitamin C, as are bell peppers, strawberries, kiwis, and broccoli. Brussels sprouts are also within that category, in the same cruciferous vegetable category as broccoli, and they're rich in vitamin C. Even herbs like thyme and parsley are rich in vitamin C, so you can add those as a complement to your meals to enhance your vitamin C. You can also get, of course, supplement form. There are many forms out there. If you're getting the chewable, just be mindful that you don't want to be wearing away at the enamel on your teeth. Vitamin C is ascorbic acid, and so there are also availabilities for the capsule form and tablet forms. And your body can only absorb so much vitamin C at a time, so if you are taking it in supplement form, divide it up through your day. so that your body can get absorption of it. It is a water-soluble nutrient, which means that if your body gets too much of it, you'll eliminate it. If you have too much of vitamin C in a day or in a dosing, you might find you get a little bit of loose stool or diarrhea, and that's a sign that you've reached what's called bowel tolerance. But certainly nothing can replace food, so having some of these foods to complement your supplements of vitamin C is really important. Vitamin A and beta-carotene are paired here because beta-carotene is a precursor to vitamin A. It is what colors carrots, their nice, lovely orange color or yellow color. Other vegetables and fruit that are this color include sweet potatoes, yams, squash, apricots, and cantaloupe. Those are also rich in beta-carotene. So beta-carotene is a precursor to vitamin A, which is also helpful for the immune system. A lot of people don't think about dark leafy greens and red and yellow peppers when it comes to beta-carotene, but those are also rich in that. And vitamin A is found in fish and in liver. And vitamin A as a supplement form, you want to be mindful that it is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you don't want to have too much as a supplement on its own. And that's not a worry if you've got it in a multivitamin. Generally, you'll see vitamin A and or beta-carotene in your multivitamins, and those are in small enough quantities. Any multivitamin never has too much of any one thing because there's a lot of things that they're trying to divide the nutrients amongst. When it comes to other ones, you're looking at zinc is also important. So zinc can be found in a number of nutrients or a number of foods as well, including pumpkin seeds, oysters. Those are ones that are often first thought of when it comes to zinc. Legumes, so those would include your beans, black beans, lentils, chickpeas, those kinds of things. You'll find that to make it more easily digestible, you should really soak it before. Sprouting also helps make it more digestible prior to cooking it. You can also ferment it. These are just ways to make the legumes more easily digestible. A lot of people are concerned when they introduce legumes to their diet that's going to make them gassy. So doing these things, soaking, sprouting, cooking, fermenting, any combinations appropriate to the particular legume that you choose can be really helpful to make it easier to digest. And if you're new to legumes as well, you may want to start off with a small amount and gradually increase the amount over time. Also rich in zinc is hemp seeds, pine nuts, peanuts, cashews, whole grains, meat, and dairy. And you can find zinc in supplement form as well, including lozenges. Just make sure that you don't get more than 100 milligrams of zinc in a day. Selenium is another mineral that's helpful for immune system. Garlic, a lot of people think of garlic as a food that is healthy for their immune system. So if you're crushing up some garlic and throwing that into your food or getting garlic supplements, you'll also be getting some selenium there. Selenium is also found in broccoli, barley, Brazil nuts, and sardines. And this is, again, only a sampling of some of the nutrients that are important for immune health. Choosing a wide array of fruits, vegetables, grains if it's suited for your diet, and high quality proteins and fats, and including herbs and spices as well, can be a healthy way to support your immune system. Now, when we talk about traditional Chinese medicine and immune health, one of the first organ systems that we look to in Chinese medicine is the lungs. Now, you'll note here I've capitalized the word lungs. It's not just because it's in title format here, but in traditional Chinese medicine, because when we talk about our organs, we're talking them as different from what you'll physically find within the body. That means that the traditional Chinese medicine lungs includes more than the physical lungs. So we have our own system. So it can sometimes be confusing. So when we talk about the lungs, the heart, the spleen, the liver, the kidneys, and so forth in traditional Chinese medicine, we capitalize the organ system to emphasize that we are adding in things that aren't typically included in the Western understanding of those organs. So we have emotions that are related to them, particular foods that are supportive of those systems, and a variety of other things. Now, for Western medicine, we obviously understand lungs as the respiratory center. In traditional Chinese medicine, the lungs are also our respiratory center. And they are, as well, our first line of defense. In Chinese medicine, we call them the delicate organs. They are the most externally exposed to our world. So when we breathe in through our mouth or our noses, we end up being able to take in external things. So viruses and bacteria can enter our bodies through our mouth and our nose and get into the lungs through that. We have mucus, and we have little hairs that help to prevent some of them from entering, but the lungs really are fairly externally exposed. Your stomach is also has access. Your things have access to your stomach from the outside world, but you have stomach acid. It's pretty potent to be able to kill a lot of things. So the Chinese medicine version of lungs, the TCM version of lungs, we're talking about them being sensitive to dryness. And so what we recommend from a TCM health tip is to support your lungs. You should make sure that you hydrate well. Now that could include having soups and stews. Just watch the salt intake on those. Make sure you have plenty of water or other form of non-caffeinated beverages, and watching your sugar if you're having any form of juice, so not overdoing the sugar in hydration. We also could recommend using a humidifier, or I use an aromatherapy diffuser. I find that in the winter it often gets dry with heaters on, and so I put an aromatherapy diffuser in my room and put in eucalyptus, tea tree, or lavender are also supportive for the respiratory system and have some antiviral, antibacterial, antipathogenic factors. They are antiseptic elements to those particular oils. So these are things that you can do to help support your traditional Chinese medicine version of your lungs. In TCM, each organ system has a flavor associated with it, and the TCM lungs are associated with pungent foods and spices. So that's pungent, spicy, aromatic things. That could include garlic, onions, leeks, and radishes. So you'll see that garlic, onions, they're often used as foods that are recognized to help to kill off colds and bugs and things. And then oregano as well is the same. Oregano, thyme, and cayenne are herbs that and flavors that you could use to improve the lung health and support the immune system. You just want to make sure you don't go overboard on any of these. They are powerful, and so you don't want to use too much, but they can sort of be added here and there to your diet. And in traditional Chinese medicine, the color that's associated with the lungs is white. And often we're told to avoid white foods, but there are some healthy white foods. Now, I'm not talking about the processed foods. I'm talking about things like cauliflower, mushrooms, and daikon, which is a kind of radish. So mushrooms in particular have some immune support benefit. And I'll be talking about reishi specifically toward the end, but you can have a wide variety of mushrooms in your food. It is recommended that you cook them. It's easier to be able to access what's inside the cells of the mushroom because they are harder for our bodies to break down. So cooking mushrooms, a wide variety, could be even just the basic ones, the cremini, the little white mushrooms that you'll find in your grocery store. You can get into portobello and a wide array. Maitake, you can find in your grocery store, some of the fancier ones as well. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we also have an emotion associated with each organ system. So the emotion of the lungs is sadness and grief. So it's important, in order to support the immune health in Chinese medicine, we recommend the practice of letting go. So letting go of grief, sadness, loss. Now, that's not to say that you don't experience those, you don't allow yourself to go through those. When things come up, it is important to be able to allow yourself to express those emotions. And at the same time, as you allow them to process through, not to hang on to them or to work on letting them go. The letting go practice can also be done with other things in your life. So letting go of things that are no longer servicing you. And, the decluttering idea is often thought about when we think about letting go of things. So you might do a spring clean, a declutter. Now, when it comes to herbs in traditional Chinese medicine, we have a wide array of Chinese herbs. So I'm only going to talk about a very select few. And I want to emphasize that everyone is different. So as I mentioned at the beginning, traditional Chinese medicine treats the individual. And so any of the recommendations I make here, it's important to consider that they may not be right for everyone. Now, some of the herbs that are commonly used for immune health in traditional Chinese medicine, this is a list of a few of them. Now, astragalus or huang qi is one that some people use in cooking a soup. For example, you can find it in an herbal shop. You want to make sure that if you're getting any of these herbs as well, that you're getting high quality. So if you have a TCM practitioner that you're working with, ask them where their source of herbs is coming from and how can they ensure the quality of them. I think that's really important. Astragalus is also something that you'll more commonly see in some of the Western herbal formulations. It's become quite popular. Andrographis is another one that Western medicine natural practitioners are starting to use more often. In traditional Chinese medicine, I know this herb is Chuanqinlian, and it has anti-pathogenic properties, meaning it helps to kill things like bacteria and viruses that can attack us, and so it is being found more commonly in herbal formulas. Isotis root is another one. Banlangun is the TCM name for this, also commonly found in common cold formulas in TCM. And forsythia fruit, lianqiao, it's really common particularly in a formula called yin qiao san, which is a classic Chinese medicine herbal formula for a kind of cold that we call wind heat, so like sore throat, fever, that kind of thing. But again, these herbs are generally found in combination. And ephedra is something, ma huang, so some of you in the natural medicine world of focusing on sports or weight loss may recognize this. You may recognize this from a number of years back, ephedra as being a problem within the weight loss supplement world. It was used as a stimulant to help with that. I do not recommend ephedra, ma huang, for that use. In traditional Chinese medicine, it actually is something that we use to induce sweating, to help to relieve a particular kind of cold. And so we also never prescribe this one as a single herb, but you might see this in some of the formulas that are prescribed by a TCM practitioner for treating a cold. One main herb that is easier for me to prescribe to a wider array of people is this Chinese medicine herb called Lingzhi. It's also known as Reishi Mushroom or Ganoderma lucidum. That's the Latin name for it. It is known as a sacred plant, so Lingzhi translates into sacred plant, and it's nicknamed the mushroom of immortality. Of course, it's not going to be promising immortality, but the idea is that it has a wide array of health benefits, and so it can support a number of systems within the body and help with general health. And then it's also nicknamed the Great Protector, and that kind of highlights its benefits for supporting the immune system. Now, reishi mushroom has a really long history. Once upon a time in China, it was used for royalty only, so not everybody had access to it. We're very fortunate now that you don't have to be royalty in order to be able to access this wonderful herb. It is recognized by some as a longevity herb, as I mentioned, herb of immortality, mushroom of immortality. It's no guarantee it's going to help you live longer, but because of its many health properties, it has that benefit that is widespread. It is an adaptogen, which I'll talk about a little bit later, as well as an antioxidant. And those are things that help to contribute to a healthy, longer life. And I mentioned before that usually herbs in Chinese medicine are prescribed as formulas. So we usually mix a bunch of herbs together and individually customize it for each person. In this particular herb, there are a few, and reishi mushroom is one of them, lingzhi is one of them, that is sometimes prescribed as a single herb. So this is one of the rare ones. It has been for a long time in China coveted for eternal youth and enhanced health. And you can actually find images of reishi mushroom throughout the Forbidden City and the Summer Palace in Beijing. If you've checked those out, you may not have noticed them when you were there. But if you do get a chance to visit or take a look online, you'll find images of reishi mushroom throughout many areas of royalty. It was actually part of the emperor's scepter. Was actually a stylized reishi mushroom, which you can see here as well. And one of the reasons, and at the time it wasn't recognized, nobody knew the word adaptogenic, but now have this term adaptogenic, and what that means is that it helps the body to adapt to stressors. So it doesn't necessarily push the body in one direction or another all the time. It helps to bring the body back to homeostasis. Homeostasis is the place of balance, and recognizing again that balance is not always is not static. It's an ever-changing balance. So sometimes your immune system needs to step it up, sometimes your immune system needs to chill out, and so reishi mushroom is known as an immune system modulator, helps it to build up or tone down. That idea of balance and of yin and yang, so finding the movement between these two directions. And reishi mushroom is a really interesting plant. Well, actually, it's not a plant. It's not an animal. It's a part of the fungus category. So it's a unique category unto itself. And the fruiting body is the part of the mushroom that includes the cap, the top part of the mushroom, and the stem. It's what we classically think of when we think about a mushroom. And then under the ground, there's a structure called the mycelium, and that mycelium is like a root structure. It can be quite broad and carry for a long way. So when you're looking for reishi mushroom, I'll talk towards the end about what it is that you're looking for. But the cap stem is the fruiting body, and the mycelium is the root structure. And when we're talking about reishi mushroom to boost your immune system, we want to know a little bit about what particular ways can it support the immune system and elevate its function so that you can ward off infection. The reishi mushroom has some antimicrobial activity. That means that it has some antibacterial, antiparasitic, antifungal, and antiviral properties. These are pathogens, you've heard me use that term before, that can attack the body, bacteria, parasites, fungus, and viruses. So it has some antimicrobial activity. The fruiting body and the mycelium both, so both the cap stem as well as the root structure, contain a compound called polysaccharides. And the polysaccharides have been shown to boost immune function. Now, only the fruiting body, the cap and the stem, contain the compounds of terpenes, terpenoids, and quinones. When we're talking about reishi mushroom for allergies, so that's an overactive immune system. we're looking at ganoderic acids in the fruiting body. Those particular compounds are a natural antihistamine. So again, it's in the fruiting body, the cap and the stem, not in the mycelium. It's not in the root structure. So those are the terpenes, the terpenoids, and quinones, the ganoderic acids. Those are found in the fruiting body. And so if you have allergies, you really want to or autoimmune issues, you really want to look at the something that contains a fruiting body. Another one of the properties of reishi mushroom in the treatment of allergies is that it has some anti-inflammatory activity as well. That's really important. So you notice when you get allergies, your nose feels swollen, stuffy, your sinuses get inflamed, your eyes might get puffy. Those kinds of activities are inflammation is part of the immune reaction. It is a normal part of immune reaction, but what we want is that allergies are something that your immune system's reacting to something that really isn't a problem. And so we want to calm the immune system in this case. An anti-inflammatory can help with that. It's reducing an overactive immune response. And then another thing with the reishi mushroom that is kind of unique is that it does help to calm the nervous system as well. Chinese medicine actually classifies reishi mushroom as calm the spirit or calm the nervous system. That is the category that it sits under. And so a calm nervous system actually helps to have a balanced immune function as well. If your nervous system is wired up, if you're stressed out, then your immune system is not going to be reacting properly. Your body is going to be paying attention to other things, and your immune system is not a priority in the moment. If it thinks that you're getting attacked by a bear, a tiger, your immune system does not get the attention that it needs, and thus you might be suffering from allergies or autoimmune disorders. You may also fight more colds and flus and viruses and infections that are going on. So when it comes to choosing a reishi mushroom supplement, there's a few things that you might want to make sure that you are getting before you make your purchase. So from my perspective, because my practice is traditional Chinese medicine, we've always used the fruiting body, the whole mushroom. So we're including the fruiting body within that, not just the mycelium. And this is the part that we've actually been using traditionally and has been used for thousands of years. The ganoderic acids are found only in the cap and stem, and that is has functions that the polysaccharides that are found in the mycelium do not have. We're also looking about how it's cultivated. A woodlog cultivation allows for it to be grown on oak logs for about a year. So we want to make sure that we have a mature reishi mushroom. If it's chosen too early, it's not going to have enough properties that are going to be the medicinal properties that we're looking for. We also want to look at how it's extracted. So traditionally in Chinese medicine, we've always done hot water extractions. That means boiling and boiling for some time and extracting the compounds. And this is something that also ensures that we're getting the compounds out of the herb that we're using, but not getting the things that we don't want out of that particular herb as well. And then potency is also important. So are we getting enough in each capsule, in each dose, in each serving size that we're taking? And so quantity of the potency is really key. What I like about the reishi mushroom from Mike is one, that it's easy to do. It's only one capsule a day. If you taste reishi mushroom, you'll find it's got quite a bitter flavor. Those bitter compounds are some of the medicinal compounds. Ganoderic acid is a bitter compound. So having it in a capsule makes it really easy to take. and just one a day. And I do recommend that you take it with vitamin C as well, because vitamin C helps improve the absorption of the compounds within the reishi supplement. So that can be having of one of the foods that I listed that are rich in vitamin C. It could also be taking a vitamin C supplement with it. I want to thank you for attending this online presentation of supporting your immune system. Again, my name is Dr. Melissa Carr. I am a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, and I really hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you.